Hey guys, this is the Mark Strigl interview show, and this is an interview with John Garcia, who's done so much great work through the years. Of course, he'll always be known, as he says in the interview, as the voice of Kyuss, the band that featured Josh and Nick Josh, who went on to be in Queens of the Stone Age, and Nick Oliveri, who's done so much great stuff, including his work with the Queens of the Stone Age, and Brandt on drums. It was, just really revolutionary band, Kyuss. And John, of course, was the voice of Kyuss. So we have his voice here on the podcast today. We're talking to him about all sorts of stuff, including his new record that is called The Coyote Who Spoke in Tongues. And, check it out. Support John. You can check me out on talkingmetal.com. And this is the Mark Strigl interview podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. Here's John Garcia.
Thanks for calling. I was expecting your phone call.
Thanks for speaking with us. Cool. The album
Absolutely.
sounds great. Yeah, really digging it.
Oh, thanks, man. Mark, it's not for everybody. People are accustomed to hearing, fuzzed out, distorted out, heavy duty, not super heavy, but rock music, in general. And so I'm getting critiqued and criticized, and but I'm used to it. So it is what it is, and Aaron, I thought my guitar player did an incredible job showing the songs, some of these Kyuss cover songs, an incredible amount of respect. And it was great, and actually an honor to work with him in writing some new material as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely there's a lot to talk about here. The Kyuss songs, the new material. Let's start right there. How much of the record is old Kyuss stuff reinvented, and how much of it is brand new material?
Okay. So it's about almost half and half. We did four Kyuss songs. 3 of them are cover songs, really. Brent Bjork wrote Green Machine. He wrote Gardenia. Those 2 songs, if you're familiar with those 2,
sure.
They're hard, heavy, a lot meaner. So to do them on the opposite side of the spectrum, where they're much softer, it's just a totally different take. 1, acoustically, and 2, they're not even being played similar, with the exception of the lyric and the lyric melody. Challenging, something that I've wanted to do. Why? Just because I wanted to, really. As far as Space Cadet is concerned, that Kyuss cover written by Josh and Scott, I never really liked the take I did. As a 20-something-year-old, the original version, and this was my way of me kind of a little bit of self-redemption, if you will, for that track. El Rodeo, doing it acoustically, was a challenge, along with Ronnie King on keyboards, and that song is just enjoyable to sing. Aaron and I wrote, Kylie, Give Me 250 ml, the Hollingsworth Session, Court Order, and there's another one from my debut track, which is live, debut record, which is live. It's called The Boulevard. So, it's not something that I wanted to, check off the bucket list. I'm, be 47 years old. I'm slowing down, want to do acoustic record. Nothing like that. It was more of just because, I wanted to try some stuff acoustically live. It wound up working out really great. Aaron and I had a drink from from Europe on the way to the United States, and we said, why don't we do a record of pretty much our set? And that's exactly what it is, pretty much.
Cool. Now, to kind of break it down as far as the actual songs go, I mean, the remake of Gardenia, just haunting. I mean, when I heard that, because I have to admit, going into this, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for acoustic covers of the Kyuss stuff. And I think Nick had done a couple acoustic covers of some Kyuss stuff, which I thought was okay, but it didn't really grab me that much. No disrespect towards him, but
these, like the Gardenia one, as soon as that acoustic guitar came in with that just haunting sound, it really pulled me in. So you really, a lot of new arrangements of the songs and reinventing the songs. How hard was this to? I mean, you mentioned really some of the stuff is just the vocal melody that's the same as the old Kyuss songs. How difficult was this to rearrange some of these older songs?
Mark, that was the enjoyable part of working it out, and that's exactly what we did. Was just work it out. We sat down, with a bottle of vodka, and like we do in Aaron's place and in Palm Springs, and we just started trying different ideas. And Aaron, along help, I've got to give credit where credit is due. A lot of some of these the slower version of Gardenia and Green Machine, that was really the tempo was really pushed by one of the producers of the record, Harper Hug. He just said, slower. Right. And we were kind of questioning it, and then after hearing it, we said, you know what, let's do it, but let's slow it down even more, and let's turn it into something completely and totally different. And that was the enjoyable part of doing so. So it wasn't difficult. It was more of just working it out. Some songs we tried. Even Tangy Zizzle, we tried, which is an old Kyuss song. We tried that one. It didn't work out. Even an old Hermano song, it didn't work out. We went in the studio with, close to 15, expecting and knowing that we'd only push maybe, 8 or 9, 45, 48 minutes worth of music. So we always go in with more, expecting ones just not to make it. So, but, even though it was enjoyable, it's not something that we were accustomed to, going in the studio and recording an acoustic record. So we went in with the mindset of keeping it very, very simple. 3 guitars, really. 1 nylon, 1 12-string steel, 1 6-string steel. And we kept it simple. There's some blending in there. There's some percussion, some bass, and some keyboards from this super badass guy by the name of Ronnie King.
Sounds like a little organ on Space Cadet. Is that yeah?
Yeah. There's a lot of different keys, some pianos, and a lot of different little percussion sounds that we kind of added for nuances and whatnot. But so yeah, we kept it simple. We tried to keep it as simple as we could and let the music really speak for itself, and don't fill up the song with vocals. Let the song breathe. Let it hang. Let it do it. So, again, Mark, I'm used to, critiques and comments, and this record's not for everybody. It's not going to be a record that you put on a Saturday night and you open up a bottle of Jack Daniels and you rage and party to it. It's not it. It's more of, this is more of you're driving down Route 66 and you want to throw on some tunes, and this is what it's there for. So, it was a great experimentation and it just being explorative, and that's exactly what it was. It was just us, Aaron and I, being explorative, and I think he did a great job. Aaron doesn't get enough credit for what he did, and I certainly want to let everybody know that who listens or reads this thing that Aaron Groban is a huge part of the writing force, and we're continuing to write for the new Electric record. So we're already on to bigger and better things.
Wow! So there's an Electric record coming at some point down the road.
We're about 3/4 of the way done with it, and so we're just finding the time to. Actually, that's always hard, finding enough time to go in and be with the guys. Everybody has families and full-time jobs, including me, so when we get a chance to go in there, we always jump at the opportunity. All of our spare time is devoted to it.
Nice, cool. And the music video for Kylie is great. Total concept video, if you will. Were you involved in coming up with the storyline, the concept behind the video?
Actually, no, I was not. I wasn't even on set. I actually gave the palette to Douglas Quill, who directed some stuff for me in the past, and I love his eye. he wanted to, address a couple, some domestic violence, and then he threw in some sacrificial, nuances in there with the girl escaping with her life, and I let him have it. I let him have free reign, and I said, Doug, I said, I don't know if you want, some performance pieces in there. Just let us know. We're on call. We're ready for you, and anytime he needs to come up to LA. But he wound up coming out here. Didn't even know about it, and again, I just gave him free reign. I dig it.
Yeah, it's good stuff, and. We don't have time to touch upon every single song, but what's the Hollingsworth session about? What is that song actually about?
So, Mark, I don't claim to be a poet by any means, and my lyrics are abstract.
Right.
So, I try not to. Even Kylie will mean something obviously totally different to me than what Douglas Quill thought. So the Hollingsworth session really was it's my grandfather's name, his last name. His name was Marshall Hollingsworth, and there was some feelings of family and him passing that went along with that song and how it evokes some memories with me and Marshall. But I don't try to have, nor will I ever want anybody to say this is what the song's about. Basically, if a song makes you feel, and hopefully some of these do evoke some feelings of washing your day off, whether you had a horrible day or you want to escape, if only for 45 minutes. That's what this record's for. It's about leaving reality, if you will, and having it take you wherever it takes you.
Right.
So I try not to let the cat out of the bag too much, but it does. There are some personal feelings in regards to that piece, but I never. No one's asked me that question today. Today's been a press day, and nobody's asked me. So, looking at some of what your questions are, me having to really kind of search for an answer, it's bizarre for me, right, because I sometimes I don't know how to answer some of these questions because I've never been asked. What is this session about? Well, a session with my dear grandfather Marshall Hollingsworth.
Sure.
So
cool. Well, again, to my listeners, we are talking with John Garcia about the new album, The Coyote Who Spoke in Tongues. And of course, we mentioned earlier one of the songs that is remade, is the song Gardenia, an old Kyuss classic. And I think this new remake that you do is just a great version, and very different version, and haunting, like I said. That song, I always thought it was a little odd, and I wanted to get your take on this. This is a kind of off the beaten path question here. Your former bandmate in Kyuss, Josh, did a record with Iggy Pop not that long ago, and there was a song on the record, a different song than the old Kyuss song, called Gardenia, and wanted to get your thoughts on that. I don't know if you know that or if you had any insight to that. Is it just a coincidence or what?
I don't know. I hear that record is great, and I've heard bits and pieces of that Gardenia song, but I don't think that there's any connection, honestly. But that's a question for Iggy or Josh. But I personally would think that, and I'm not 100% sure that there's no connection. That's just a coincidence.
Right on. And I saw you with Kyuss Lives twice, actually. I saw you in New York City, and then I saw you out in Montclair, New Jersey, and was really digging what you were doing with that band, kind of bringing us back to the Kyuss stuff. And I know after that you went on to Vestacino, which featured Brant and Nick. And do you hear from Brant or Nick much anymore? You're still in contact with them?